and who can protect you from me now? What's God that you believe in can protect you? Nobody. Did the Prophet ﷺ kill him, execute him, order his companion to put him in jail? No, he let him go. So there's so many incidents like that where the Prophet ﷺ, through his teaching, through his actions, he proved to his companion, he taught the Ummah, the Muslims Ummah, that they should be far away from label as extreme, as a people who are thirsty for killing or for killing people or attacking other nations. That's never been the case in the history of Islam.
Tell us, is there anything in Islam that allows or condones someone to hijack a plane, someone to go up and bomb a building where there's civilians in it? Is there anything that would give someone some kind of authority from the verbatim word of God, the Quran, or some of the sayings, authentic sayings from the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that would allow such things?
Absolutely not. There is actually a fatwa, which is a ruling been issued by the senior scholars in Saudi Arabia 30 years ago, before 9/11, before all these happened.
So
signed by Sheikh Ibn Baz rahimahullah.
They condemn these things.
And he said specifically that it is forbidden, it is illegal, there is nothing can justify this, that to specifically mention hijacking airplanes, attacking urban areas, civilians, and bombing them. Like what you hear in the news, somebody go and blow up himself inside a pizza store or a train or bus or airplanes. All this, there's nothing can justify that. I can't see anything in religion can justify that. When people use any evidence to justify themselves, to justify for themselves doing this, actually they twisted the verses. You know what? They will do that without any verses in the Quran. In my opinion, by looking and seeing those people, how they act, they don't care for a long time. And one of the things I would like to say here, the people not doing this to die, they've been doing this for years and years and years. As a specialist, as a person who study theology and the history of Islam, and I can tell you for the longest time, we have example of people killed, not non-Muslim, the most righteous Muslims, like Ali ibn Abi Talib. And they will kill him and they will believe, or Uthman ibn Affan, the third caliphs, one of the companions of Muhammad.
The companions of the Prophet.
Yeah, they will kill them and they will believe that they did the most righteous things in the world. And they will justify this for themselves by verses here or a hadith there. So I don't think we should, and this is an advice for my friends, the non-Muslim friends, don't ever be fooled or basically believe anybody just come and said, oh, God said kill the disbelievers or do this and do that. Because that person who already made that decision, he's not really waiting for a verse or a hadith. Most of them, they really motivated by either revenge, social problem, politically they motivated against others. And some of them religiously been misled. And that's why we need a lot of education to those people, a lot of people to debate with them, to talk to them, especially before they reach the level it could be turned to soldiers. One important thing, and that's kind of advice to any Muslim who hear me today, to tell them there is a stage the person goes through it. First stage, he's thinking about it, he hear all this debate. Then after a while, the person transfer from being just a citizen to be a militant, to be a person carrying a weapon. So whenever you hear the bomb, you hear the bullet been shot, that's not the first stage, that's the last stage. We have to deal with it from basically the roots and to prevent this from happening. And no doubt, going back to the teaching of the Prophet ﷺ, going back to the verses of the Quran, you will see clearly there is nothing can justify what you see a group like Al-Qaeda, people like this doing today in the name of Islam, in the name of Islam. I can't see as a specialist, I can see anything can justify these actions.
Tell us, because I have a lot of points I want to cover, and if you can put some of these verses that I'm going to bring up in context, because I'll get certain people that will try to communicate to me, and they'll quote me certain verses and say, look, this is what your book teaches, this is what your prophet teaches. For instance, Surah 9, verse 5. How would you comment on this?
Okay. there is we cannot in this short period, in this episode, to go over every single
Yeah.
verse or evidence that they might do. What I want us to know.
Give us a formula that
Yeah,
we can
I
follow.
want us to know, especially the non-Muslims who are not familiar with the system of Islam.
Yeah.
There is a common sense. It's between Islam and any other religion. Any academic person or any person who who research for the truth, he should follow that method, which is you cannot ever take one single evidence and you base your whole argument on it. You have to bring all related evidence to the subject. So you cannot pick one verse from the Quran and you forgot about the verse before it and after it. For instance, that particular verse that you quote in Surah 9 verse 5, in Surah At-Tawbah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is specifically talking about the kuffar of Quraysh, the pagans of Mecca, who were in war with the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ had a deal with them, then that treaty came into an end, and now Allah ordered the Prophet ﷺ to fight those mushrikeen and to basically not to accept from them any treaty. Okay, that exact same verse, let's see how the Prophet ﷺ applied in real life. That verse that we talk about. The Prophet Muhammad conquered Mecca. When he conquered Mecca, he didn't have a big fight, by the way. Just maybe for a few hours, just the fight took place, and after that they surrendered. All those pagans that the verse said, kill them, kill the pagans, kill those infidels, as some people might say. Those people, they were lying up front of the Prophet ﷺ. Did the Prophet ﷺ kill them all? No. The Prophet ﷺ said, you are free to go. He took over this town, which has the house of Allah, which is meant to be a pure place to worship Allah alone. After he conquered that, he let them go. He didn't kill them. So if somebody today say, this verse said kill them, why the Prophet ﷺ didn't kill them? The Prophet ﷺ didn't do that, because that's not what it meant. We have to understand the religion in the light of how the Prophet ﷺ applied this ahadith. Also, you take this verse and compare it to the other verses where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that you fight those who are fighting you. The people of Mecca, they tried to kill the Prophet ﷺ. They killed his companions. They declared war against him. So that's normal for you to fight them back. The people in the north of Arabia, they declared war against the Prophet ﷺ by the help of the Romans in the north of Arabia. The Prophet ﷺ fought them back and sent the armies to them. Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah said that the Prophet ﷺ never ever started a war against anybody. Actually, we always say, in janahul salm fajnah la, if they want to have a treaty with you, open the door for them to live in peace. Islam always promote that people will live in peace. Islam is one of the first, it's the first religion as far as I know, that taught his people to accommodate people from other faiths. It's a very founded in our religion that Christian and Jews, and through the history can witness for us that. Through the history, Jewish, they couldn't find more safer place for them more than the Muslims' country to live in it. When they've been basically attacked and killed in Europe, they migrated to the Turkey, migrated to Morocco, migrated to North Africa, to the Muslims' land. Christians, they also admit and they know that when the Crusader themselves walk into Jerusalem and they kill the people who Christians like them, but they don't share with them maybe the same exact branch of Christianity, they never been treated like this by Islams, by the hand of Islams. Christians lived in Egypt, in north of Africa, and all over the Muslim world, and their rights protected. If this been said, nobody can say that it has to be an ideal. We don't live in an ideal world. Muslims are not perfect. Muslims are like any other nation. There is a difference between religion and the people who follow the religion. I'm not saying every state in the history of Islam was a perfect state. There is bad examples in every nation, in every generation.
You mentioned those examples. What I want to go into next briefly, because we're almost out of time, is that so this would be the defect in the human being, that individual. Because we can give examples, for instance, from people who were supposed Christians. Hitler was Christian. He went out killing a lot of people because he thought that they killed his God. Is this correct?
Yeah.
So we can give some example. KKK, they were thought they were doing some good stuff by lynching people. Is there any other examples that you know of that of other faiths that or people in a faith? Timothy McVeigh blew up some building and So we want to separate the actions of individuals from